Hello, good afternoon. How are you today? This is Donna Carroll, and I'm coming to you live. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different. For those people that have questions, if you want to enter your questions in the live chat, and then after the channeling, I'll answer as many as I can. I'm going to channel the answers. I'm not going to answer them. Well, I'm going to answer them, but my guides are going to answer them through me. And today, I am going to channel my guide, Thor. Thor was a person that I knew, trying to think, a little over 20 years ago. I met Thor in, I believe it was 1997, so 1998, something like that. I met this person, and he had just moved to the United States from France, where he was raised, even though he was an American. But he lived over in France. Anyhow, he had a PhD, or was working on a PhD in mathematics, so he's very technical and very intelligent. And we met in my meditation group, Sahaj Marg. Unfortunately, he passed in 2012. Was it? Yeah, I think it was 2012. And now he is a guide for me over in the light. So he comes in very clearly, very strongly, and he does have a lot of knowledge. So if anyone wants to enter a question in the chat, I will have him answer it. I'm going to just type a little something in the chat. Because I'm going to go into the channeled state, so I won't be able to look at the chat as I'm channeling, but I'll check it out at the end if there's anybody on there that has a question. So it's been a crazy week with the coronavirus and all of that. It seems like we just got over the bushfires in Australia, and now we're dealing with the coronavirus. It seems to be one crisis after another. In this world of ours, one global crisis after the other. Makes me think that ascension is near. And, I do have some questions about what caused the coronavirus. Is ascension near? What's the cabal up to? I pretty much understand and know that there are dark forces still working in this world, even though they started the arrests of the pedophiles last year with Weinstein and Epstein. And I say pedophiles because the people that are involved in Satanism, in the occult, which are your Hollywood elites, your bankers, multimillionaire bankers, billionaire bankers, your high-level politicians, basically anyone with a lot of money, power, and clout and access to the media is a suspect to me. And these people engage in pedophilia. So they started the arrests last year. So, is the light in charge now? Are they arresting people that have engaged in dark activities? Are they turning against each other? Who knows? But definitely there's a lot of changes. Something's going on. So I'm going to bring in my guide Thor to see what his perspective is. Okay, Guadalupe, hello. Yes, does he have a message for me? We will ask him. I'm going to do a short channeling, and then I will ask him questions after the channeling. So we will put that in there. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm wearing my stones on my person. I have smoky quartz, tourmaline, and selenite today. And plus someday I'll have to show you my computer desk, because it's mainly filled with stones. I have some papers over here and some notebooks, but the top is just crystals and a couple tarot cards that I never really use. I'm not really a tarot card reader, but I did buy some decks in the old days. So I'm going to have a drink of water and we'll get started. Okay, so at this time, I want to welcome you all, and I would like to bring in my highest and best healing and channeling guides. I would like to bring in the archangels, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Ariel, Archangel Gabriel. I would invite 100,000 warrior protection angels into this space. Around me, anyone viewing this live stream or video later, I ask for thousands of warrior protection angels around them. Please block all negative entities, energies, and thought forms from entering this space. If anything's released by anyone, angels take it to source. Something was released. And I invite Yeshua or Jesus to overlight and oversee this session. Please make my words clear, accurate, loving, and truthful. And lastly, I invite my friend in Thor, and I ask him to give a message of light to the audience today. Amen. Yes, this is Thor. Thank you for having me on your live stream, Donna Carroll. Yes, we have known each other a very long time and are compatriots of sorts, as I have known you since my soul was born, and you have known me since you were quite a young soul yourself. So we go back a long way. And because of this, you could say, intimate relationship, it makes us good channeling buddies. I come through your voice easily, swiftly, and clearly because of our close connection. And I offer that up to the audience. If you ever decide you want to channel, you might want to start with a guide or a loved one that is close to you, because they will have easier access to your mind, your psyche, and your channeling will be clearer. And then you can start bringing in the far out guides. Anyhow, today I would like to talk a little bit about what is occurring in your reality. But first of all, I ask that you all just take one deep breath and just relax. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And just relax. Yes, the ascension is still on. You're still ascending. Do not fear. Okay, so number one, there are two ways of looking at this coronavirus. The first way of looking at it is that it is a control mechanism by the cabal, that it was essentially manufactured by the cabal in a lab and released on the unsuspecting public, that the elites created the problem, the disease, and then they hyped it on the media to create fear, unrest, dismay, and upset in the human population all over the world. And yes, it certainly has done that. And although, yes, people have died from this virus, and there is a serious outbreak in Italy and in other parts of the world, we would not consider it a pandemic in such that there are dead bodies littered on the street everywhere, that 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 2 people has experienced death. And it does not have the impact of, at least not yet, of the Spanish flu, a typhoid outbreak, or the Black Plague. So I feel that the media has overreacted to the coronavirus, and shutting down the economy because of it would be considered the true motive of releasing this virus into the unsuspecting public. Because the reality is if you get this virus, you're not likely to die. You might die if your immune system is compromised or you're elderly or old, but most people will recover from this. So the shutting down of the economy has been somewhat of a drastic measure. Okay, this is one way of looking at it. I don't think it's the only way of looking at it. Why would the cabal want to shut down the economy? The cabal wants to shut down the economy because the forces of the dark want to set up a society, which they have been working towards for many, many years, that is very centralized. The powers that be, the power that runs the centralized one world government. Bush Sr. was talking about the one world government back in the 90s. The one world government, and this has also been proposed in UN, we would say propaganda, but official UN documentation talks about this idea. So essentially, the forces of the dark want a very centralized government. They want a one world economy, and they want one currency. And they want a cashless society. They want people to be very controlled, and they would like to see people purchasing with credit cards or some type of electronic or digital currency. And this has happened. We have moved from a cash society in most parts of the world to a digital economic system. So the cabal, or the forces of the dark, would like a very technically oriented society. They want to control people with technology. Eventually, they want to chip them and control their bodies, and they want to morph them into some type of being, human, that is combined with technology or married to technology within the body or physically. And so you can see that the inequity of wealth has reached an all-time high in your world. The billionaires, multi-billionaires at the top of the food pyramid, the top of the chain, are incredibly wealthy. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. The middle class has essentially disappeared, and the rest of society is at the bottom of this pyramid and is being forced into poverty. Meanwhile, the population increases, and so there are more and more mouths to feed and less resources to go around. The elite, however, would like to bring the population down. The Georgia Guidestones, which is an outline of the agenda of the Satanists, ask that the population be reduced to, I believe, 500,000 people. So there's a clear agenda, and it is being worked out step by step, day by day, by the cabal, or the people in power. And yes, they still are in power, but losing their grip. So your politicians, the people that are running the government, the royal families, so on and so forth, are from the dark side. So why would they want to put in a pandemic or possibly create a natural disaster? Many people think that the fires in Australia were originated from man-made sources or was an action of the cabal. The reason why they want to create natural disasters is to A, reduce the population, and B, they want to squeeze people economically. They are interested in having a few global corporations provide everything that everybody needs in the world, and they are very interested in eliminating small business or mom and pop shops because they want to control people. They want to control them economically. Forget about politics, forget about human rights and the differing views that people have on politics, what they're for, what they're against. The true way to control people is economically. You control how much food they have on the table, if they can eat, if they have a roof over their head, and that's how you really get people to bend to your will. So this dark agenda has been in operation since time immemorial, but in modern times, a big step was taken in 1912 when the central bank was established in this country, in the United States. And so you have to understand that the central bank lends money to the regional banks, controls the money supply, and controls the inflation rate. So it controls the flow of money throughout the country. But what is very interesting about the US dollar and the form of currency established by the central bank is that it is not backed by anything. It is not backed by gold, it is not backed by commodities or wealth. There are no bullions of gold stored away in Fort Knox to back the dollar green paper money because Nixon got us off the gold standard in 1972. So essentially, the only thing that makes money worth anything is the fact that you believe that it's worth something. It really is just green paper with no intrinsic value. Another thing to understand about the central bank, and this is quite interesting, is the idea of fractional reserve banking. And what does that mean? It means that a bank, any bank that's FDIC insured, can lend out money to a consumer, but that money does not have to be in the bank's vaults or holding capacity. Fractional reserve banking is 9/10 of the law or of the system. So what that means is that if a bank has $100,000 with fractional reserve banking, it can lend out $900,000. 9/10 of what it really has can be lent out, and it acts as if that money is real or it's holding it in its vault. And the banks are not holding the money, and they create these loans out of thin air. And this is why your money is becoming more and more worthless every day. But fractional reserve banking is one of the greatest Ponzi schemes that ever existed, and it is coming from your Federal Reserve, your central bank, which is a private organization, not part of the government, and was designed by leading members of the cabal. However, you can look at the ascension process in a couple of ways. Now, there are timelines and there are occurrences on those timelines, and the timeline that you are on is of ascension. However, there are other timelines that are not ascending. And those timelines are going down the rabbit hole, or those timelines would represent what would happen to the Satanists or the dark ones after the timeline split, and those that go to the light, and those that don't. But the ones that don't are the members of the cabal that are implementing these problems in your world, and then bringing in the solutions, i.e. David Icke, to create panic, mass hysteria, fear in the people. But mainly the end result is always trying to squeeze the economy, because ultimately what the dark wants to do is to bring in one world currency, and they want to control who can buy what, when, where, and how. And this, as it is written in the book of Revelations, is the mark of the beast, the mark of the beast. And I see the mark of the beast as a RFID chip in the index finger of a human being that's implemented after some sort of cataclysm or natural disaster or terrible pandemic. And it is someone's pass to buy and sell. And yes, there is a timeline from my perspective that is not ascending, that is bringing in the mark of the beast and ultimately the Antichrist, who will administer the mark of the beast and also sit upon his throne and force the population to worship him. So right now, what's happening in your reality is both timelines are running at the same time. You can see the darkness, you can see the disasters, you can see the vying for control, and you can see the great light, the ascension, the unification of hearts that's occurring in many of the population. So another way to look at the coronavirus, first of all, the corona is plasma, or the wispy aura around the sun. So when you have a virus around the sun is the generator or the supplier of light in this reality, and nothing would exist here if not for the sun. So when there is a virus named after the corona of the sun, you have to think about that. Does this mean that there's a virus in the light-giving properties? What's going on? One way to look at this is that the sun, as bright and as life-giving as it is cleansing itself, and it is emitting a virus in its corona and releasing it. And after this virus is emitted, it will be stronger, brighter, and better than before. And you can make an analogy that the sun, the life-giving star in your solar system, shines on all the ascending ones, and the ascending ones are part of the sun's energy. They get life from the sun, they are lit from the sun, and they are shedding old, outdated models of fear, and that fear has been brought up by this virus. So you can look at it as a cleanse for the collective so that it can reach higher states of consciousness, and so that it can ascend more quickly by unifying with the light of the sun. And the channel has mentioned before that our sun in this solar system is fed by the central sun in the Pleiades, which is Alcyon. And Alcyon is very much equated to the Christ, or the life giver of the cosmos, of the universe. And the ancient Egyptians, as well as other cultures, worshipped the sun, and they worshipped the life-giving properties of the central sun. So know that the sun is very important metaphysically. So what's happening on your path, which is the path of ascension, the path to the fifth dimension, and the path to the new earth? Well, number one, if you have stayed on this ascension path as long as you have, and you're determined to bring it to manifestation, know that you have incredible support in the ethers and from the spirits from all over the galaxy and universe. The channel was out on St. Patrick's Day and was feeling the anxiety from the collective. She's very sensitive to collective energy, which is why she'll sleep for 12 hours at a stretch or get very anxious or have rapid mood changes, because she's tapping into the energy of the collective. And because she was feeling anxious, she went to the store and looked up in the sky and saw a flickering light that was stationary, that eventually, or quickly actually, disappeared. In other words, she saw a spaceship, and the spaceship was there, and the spirits on the spaceship were there to let her know that she has friends here in the skies watching her, helping her, assisting her. And the channel believes, and rightfully so, that if anything happened that was so dramatic or catastrophic to her, that her family is in the sky and they would help her. And she has seen many ships over the years, and she knows that she has that assistance. And you all have that assistance because you come from the stars. We see Pleiadians watching this video. Many different star beings are here on the planet ascending. They have come down to ground light into this dark planet to bring an awakening to humanity. They have taken on human bodies, and they have their families in the skies. You all have spirits here that are going to help you during times of distress. So that is one thing to remember. Know that on the ascension timeline, it is moving rather quickly now. The main thing that had to happen for ascension to take place has happened. What is that? What happened is, on the ascension timeline, Lucifer came back to heaven, came back to the light, came back to his mother, and was born again. Why was that so important? And it happened in October of 2019. It is very important because Lucifer's function cannot be replicated by anybody else. Lucifer's function is the light bearer. He is the bringer of the light. He was born to do this job. The mother, or you could say Christ, in his feminine form, but the mother goddess, the original sentient being or prime creator, gave birth to Lucifer. That was her firstborn son, and he became the bridge or the catalyst or the pathway from the divine mother to all other aspects of creation. He is the light bringer. He brings the light. He brings the love. He is the bridge. He is the conduit. There is nobody else that can do that job. And so Lucifer had to come back to heaven and be in the heavenly realms so that the ascension energies can come down to earth, to the fifth dimension, because he needs to participate in it. He's the one that's going to bring the light to the fifth dimension. Nobody else can do it. And so this is what has been happening for thousands and thousands of years, is that soul fragments of Lucifer have come back to the light. The channel saw the great black snake being brought back to the light into heaven by many, many angels who lifted this being up. And she saw that he was again born again into a small infant who went to the breast of his mother, and he was very red and very cold, and then he became a normal baby. His memory was wiped. Lucifer was essentially taken on a timeline where he was raised again in heaven so that he could bring the light to the fifth dimension of the ascending earth. Lucifer grew very, very quickly, and each month he would grow years. And now he is a young angel in heaven ready to do his work. So that key in the ascension process is in place. It is done. Earth herself is releasing karma, all of the abuses over the many, many, many eons of time, specifically since Lemurian Atlantis. And this is coming up in the form of natural disasters. But what needs to happen next for the ascension to truly finish taking place, and when we talk about ascension, we don't just mean a change in mindset. We're talking about a new earth full of natural beauty, green trees, beautiful springs, abundance and beautiful resources for all, and people living in their heart chakra, full of light, full of love, telepathic with each other, loving and caring in a peaceful, calm, heavenly type of earth. But what happens next is that when the mother goddess descended in ancient Lemuria, she came down with her twin flame, because souls have twin flames. In other words, if you go back far enough, a being would have all the attributes of the female and the masculine energy within themselves. The male and the female were one, so beings were androgynous. They were male and female. But when the mother goddess came down to Lemuria, for some reason, the male and the female energy split, and the twin flames came into existence on the earth realm. So the mother goddess has an equal counterpart, or a counterpart who would be the god, or the half of her soul that is male. And this is not just true for her, for Prime Creator, who came down in ancient Lemuria, but it is also true for the many archangels who came down, and other beings of light. Now, if a being descended with its twin flame, and not all beings did, not all beings came down with their twin flames, but if a being came down with their twin flame, when they came down together, they need to go back up together. They need to ascend together. So what's happening is that for the ascension to really take place in the collective consciousness on a mass scale, what it means is that people, light bearers, need to sexually and physically reunite with their twin flames so that the energy can be combined, because as the energy gets combined, the soul gets unified. The two disparate parts of the soul gets unified into one whole organism, and it raises the kundalini for both parts of the soul, which fuels the ascension process into the next dimension. So what needs to really happen is that people need to unite with their twin flames. If they came down with them, they need to reunite with them to go back up. But we can tell you, I can tell you that ascension is very close. So there is a probability or a possibility that ascension will take place between the equinox, which is, I believe, March 20th, and the solstice, which happens in mid-June. So during that time period, if the twin flames can reunite, if humanity can keep moving on the ascension path, there is a portal that will open and ascension is possible. Does not mean that it's going to happen. It means that it can happen, and it's a likely probability. It could be a likely probability. But there have been other points on the ascension journey that were probabilities that did not come to fruition, if that makes sense to you. So we want to tell you to please do not put all of your time and energy and attention on the virus, on fear. Put your time and attention on your ascension. Put your time and attention on bringing in the light, creating the love within yourself, connecting to your guides, and getting to the new earth. Because if you have made it this far, I can guarantee you are on the road for the long haul, and you are ascending. And also, I want you to look into your body, check into your body, and feel yourself. Do you not feel so much lighter than you did a year ago or 2 years ago? So each time the collective goes through these terrible occurrences like the fires and the coronavirus, and you could even say 9/11 going way back when, it is a release in the collective consciousness, and you are releasing fear. You are transmuting the fear of the collective through your bodies. And after the fact, you're in a higher state of consciousness, and the collective is in a higher state of consciousness. This is how you can look at it on the ascension journey. Whereas the dark forces are thinking, okay, we just squeeze the economy and now we can implement our one world currency and we can really give it to them. But they don't understand exactly how the ascension process is working because they do not physically have access to those high dimensions of light. So their perspective is a little bit skewed. So know that you're ascending. Know that your journey is almost complete. You do have the possibility of ascending this year. And we are praying for that. Know that your family, the light forces, are all around you, and that you have many angels at your back. If you ever get into a dire situation, use the violet flame, call in your archangels, call in your angels, call in your guides. You have much more power in your spoken word, in the light that you carry, to create a positive out of a negative. So do not cower in fear, and do not let the cabal dictate how you react to the situations coming up in your reality. This is Thor, and now I will take questions. Okay, and I am staying with the channel. Okay, so we are going to answer the questions. The first question comes from Guadalupe. Does Thor have a message for me? Okay, so at this time I bring in Guadalupe. I bring in her higher self and her highest and best guides of the light. And I bring in Thor, and I ask Thor, do you have a message for Guadalupe? Okay, so he's showing me a twinkle in your eye. There's something about your eye. It can flash like twinkles of light. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but your eyes have the ability to flash light signals or twinkles of light to other people. And they might not know what's going on when you do it, but when you do that with your eyes, you are waking up people, catalyzing them, and actually giving them short bursts of like an infusion of light. And that's a gift that you have. And it's a unique kind of gift, and it's very beautiful. So he wants to tell you that. He also says, Thor, what else did you want to say? He's saying that part of you is taking in everything, observing everything, watching everything. You do your own practices, your own ascension into the light, but that there is a barrier or a veil between you and the rest of humanity or the people that you are inherently connected to. There is this thin veil where you don't want to put yourself, I'm not going to say in a bad place. You don't want to open your heart completely and be completely vulnerable to this collective. Maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your family, maybe it's people you don't know, maybe it's your soul group. But part of you does not want to do that because there's some fear associated with that. And part of you is not public or does not speak openly about all that you know and all that you've experienced. And so you spread your love and your energy with your twinkles of light, or to the few intimate people that you can tell your secrets to, your secrets of the light to. So the next step in your journey is that this thin veil that keeps you somewhat separated from others is going to be taken down. And so you're going to be more intimately involved with people, or you're going to call your community to you where you can bring down this veil and be the true light being that you are, and not hiding it or sequestering it in any way. You're going to be more out there, and you're going to bring down this thin veil because it keeps you separated, and it keeps you from fully working the gifts that you have in the light. You're going to be almost like pushed out, put out in the open. This is me. This is who I am. I'm speaking my truth. I'm living my truth. I'm giving you my gifts. And you're going to do that openly. Part of you doesn't want to be that vulnerable. You don't want people judging you. You don't want people, you don't want people judging you. You don't want to be looked at funny or whatever, but that's going to leave, and you're going to be fully out in the light doing your thing with no apologies. And that's his message for you. And I hope that resonated and made sense to you. Okay. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh, you look beautiful. You must feel better. I do feel better. I slept for like 12 hours one day, and then I feel like I'm back to normal today. So thanks. So Marie Antoinette, hello, sweet Lemurian Donna. So good to see you're keeping well. What is my ideal job or career vocation at this time? I wish to earn a good living to be able to save and care for my mom, who's suffering from Parkinson's. Oh, Guadalupe, I'm so glad that the message resonated. Awesome. Yeah. And also, Guadalupe, one more thing. You can ask Thor or the Mother Goddess or any archangel or actually any guide that you're close to to safely rip that veil away and to bring you to your fullest potential, and they will. And also utilize the selenite when you do that, because it makes everything quicker, faster, easier. Okay, so Marie, what is your ideal job, career, vocation at this time? If in the worst case scenario, if my poor mom passes, will she still go through the ascension? Parkinson's, yeah, that's difficult. Okay. So at this time, I call in Marie Antoinette. I call in her higher self, her angelic guides, her guides of the light. I call in her mom and her dad. I call in their higher selves as well. Okay. And now I bring in Thor, and I ask, what is Marie Antoinette's best job, ideal job at this time, so that she can make a good living? Okay, so go ahead and open your heart, Marie Antoinette. Okay, and what can she do to bring in money? What I'm getting is that it is very noble that you want to take care of your mom. Very good thing. Your mom definitely appreciates it. But what is your true vocation? Or what is the best job at this time? I'm getting like the best job at this particular point to bring in money would be the job of being a caregiver, taking in or caring for other people, actually, along with your mother, until she makes her transition. Because if that would work for you, or if it would be a possibility, it would be a way for you to do what you want to do and also to bring in money at the same time. Now, I don't know if this is possible or feasible, but this is what is coming in. So I asked Thor if there's anything else for Marie Antoinette. Okay, it's almost as if the situation with your mom and with your dad, and just the situation in general, is weighing heavy on you. I mean, it's a difficult situation. And what's happening is that it's bringing you down in a way. I mean, my head is moving down this way, kind of like shielding yourself, like, oh, I can't take one more thing. I can't deal with one more thing. Almost like, oh, I want to cover my head and not have these things falling down all around me. And that's a state of consciousness that you're in right now because of what's going on with your family. So what they're telling me, what Thor's telling me, is that really what you need to work on spiritually is to bring that head upright again, because you're not absorbing the light as fully as you could be, because you're so weighed down with worry and some fear. So what you need to do is bring that head up front and center. You need to pull in the light from source. You need to bring it into your crown and into your heart, and you need to alleviate and release that fear. So that, because what that's going to do, putting yourself directly 100% lined up to the light, is going to give you the wherewithal, the power, the empowerment, and it's going to give you the courage and the strength to deal with the situation. Because right now it's like, oh, it's too much. But if you align yourself and surrender this issue And my guides are saying that you should surrender this issue. So whether you surrender it to the Mother Goddess of ancient Lemuria, surrender it to Jesus Christ, you probably pray about the situation, but they want you to hand it over and let the angels take care of this situation. And when you do that emotionally, that many blessings will be brought, many synchronicities will be brought to you, and the problems will not seem as large, and the problems will start solving themselves the more that you can surrender it to Source, to God, Goddess. And so I'm asking Thor, what else can you tell me about Marie Antoinette? He's saying that you wanted to know if your mother will ascend if she passes in the Parkinson's state. Okay, so I bring in your mother. I guess you're wondering if you're going to see her on the new earth or something like that. I'm taking time because I don't want to give a quick answer. I want to really resonate with it myself. So your mother will, when your mother passes, what I'm getting is that she will go to a healing room in the heavens or in the ethers. So she will actually be taken to a place of rest or a hospital in the ethers. I mean, it's hard to describe, but that she will be healed there, that her body, her mind, the trembling, the disease that has taken its toll on her body, that once she passes, she's still carrying the remnants of that disease. And it's also part of her mental state right now, is in a state of disarray as well, a little bit. So she'll go to a healing room. I'm asking where it'll be, or that she's going to connect with loved ones, school chums, but basically she'll be waited on and healed by very evolved souls, nurses and such that nurse people on the earth, and angelic beings, angels, and she will be brought back into full health. So she's not going to directly ascend to the new earth. She's going to a place where she can be healed. And then I asked the guides, does that mean that she will incarnate on the new earth? Will you have further contact with her, or will she go somewhere else? I'm getting that she will go somewhere else. She has not completely released the fear that she had. There were some energetic blocks in her body that would not have made her the candidate for ascension, that she will go to other worlds, but that, or another place, and she will go through a process of purifying herself out of fear. And then once she's done that, she will join you, because you're ascending, you're going to the new earth. She will join you on the new earth. I'm asking the guides, well, yes, you will be reunited again, but there's going to be it's not going to be immediate. She's got to do some healing and some release work in other places, because she didn't have the opportunity to finish that work during this lifetime, is what I'm getting. So I'm asking the guides if they have any other questions or any other comments. And Marie Antoinette, you're returning to Jesus and Mother Mary. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. That's right up your alley. That is, I mean, Jesus, Jesus is an incarnation of the Divine Mother Goddess. Okay. Krishna is an incarnation of the Divine Mother Goddess. So is Kuan Yin. So is Akhenaten. So all of these great beings essentially are the same soul. So whatever incarnation you choose to that you resonate with, that you work with, it's perfect. The Buddha, Jesus, you know. I always say, though, go to the highest of the high. Why go mid-level when you can go the highest of the high, right? So, yeah, that's perfect. So at this time, we're at 55 minutes. I think that's a good stopping point. So I want to thank you for listening. I hope that the questions are really good. Oh, Guadalupe, if I may ask another question, will I be included with the new Earth? So I'm asking Thor, and he's saying, yes, you will be. The people that have knowledge or are aware of the new Earth, if they have understanding of it in their consciousness, they're on the timeline for ascension, and you will be ascending to the new Earth. And for you, what I'm seeing is that your ascension process is like this. You're going up, 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 but then you're just going to go whoo, skyrocket, kind of like that. So for some people, the process is just like this. Some people, the process is like this. And then some people, it's like this. So you're more like that. But the ascension process, from what I understand, is when the light workers go back into the higher dimensions, they have released enough of their karma and enough of the karma of the collective, because the light workers here, they're taking on a lot of issues for the collective. If you've had a hard life, believe me, it is not all your own karma. If you're a light worker, you're really helping out the collective, and you're giving the opportunity for I'll say, less evolved souls to ascend. So you're doing a lot of work here. But now it's getting to the point where it's going to be our time, and we're going to go to the next dimension, and we're going to go home. And that process is basically a return to Lemuria. Because that was really the Garden of Eden, the heavenly paradise, the thing that we keep in the idea that we have in our collective memory of that garden, that Eden, that beautiful place where everybody loved each other and everybody was fulfilled. That happened here, and that was Lemuria, and that energy is coming back. So, you know, and part of my soul mission is to talk about that and bring the energy out so that people can viscerally, mentally connect to it. So I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Guadalupe. I hope you have a great week. Please take care of yourself, and don't spend too much time on the virus. Just let it be there, but focus on your ascension and staying in the light. And I wish you all well, and you have a great, great week. And thank you. Thanks, Marie Antoinette. I'm wishing you well. Take care. Bye, Guadalupe.